I'm Apeksha, and so I'm going to be talking about PMDD. And so, yeah. So back when I was in IB, I used to feel like a ghost. I felt like I was floating down the hallways from classroom to classroom, and my days became this monotonous blob, and I couldn't separate one day from another because, frankly, I couldn't remember them, and my brain had this white noise that I couldn't get past, and I couldn't really concentrate in class because I was slipping in and out of this hazy reality, and some days I would see nothing but red, and I'm not really an angry person, so I was forced to ponder my identity and who was this person that I'd become? Can I really accept them? And these thoughts, I would get so stressed out, and I would be exhausted because I was spiraling out of control. And there was this dichotomy sometimes where I would go from this really intense self-hatred to this panicky self-pity. It would be this vicious cycle of, I'm such a bad student, I'm such a disappointment, I can't even do this thing right, am I even trying to, this is not my fault, this isn't who I am, I'm trying my best, how do I explain it to anyone that this isn't my fault? And I was so exhausted. So I have this condition called PMDD. It stands for premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and it is basically an intense form of PMS, which is premenstrual syndrome for those of you who don't know, and it affects about it's an intensified form of PMS. So yes, it's still cyclic, and yes, it still has physical and psychological symptoms, but the day-to-day activities, they become really difficult to accomplish, and the number of women it affects varies from website to website, but roughly about 2 to 10%. But I'm sure that number is higher because not a lot of people know that such a condition exists, so they don't really have the vocabulary to express themselves. And as for the symptoms, the physical consists of weight gain and breast tenderness, physical body aches and headaches and more, and the psychological symptoms are depression, depersonalization, anxiety, and so much more. So how PMDD is diagnosed is that you have to have at least 5 of these symptoms, and they affect you 7 to 10 days before you get your period. So for me, it's mostly my mental health that's affected, and the most prominent symptom is depersonalization, and everything else is sort of related to it. So depersonalization is the body's way of coping with high levels of stress, and what it feels like your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings aren't real, and you get this sense that you are a separate entity from your physical body, and it apparently affects more than 50% of people, but there's this varying degrees of its intensity. And so have you guys watched Get Out? Yeah. So the best pop culture thing that would explain this depersonalization is the sunken place. You know that scene where Missy hypnotizes Chris and he's floating in this nothingness, and there's a TV in the distance, he's looking through it, and he's really emotional, but he can't really do anything about it because he's so detached. And do you guys know Joji? Yeah. So there's this music video of his called Will He, and there's this shot that it's repeated throughout the music video where he's sitting in this bathtub filled with red water and he's staring into the abyss, and that's exactly what that numbness of depersonalization feels like. So for me, my menstrual cycle is almost always irregular, so that means that I would never, and I still don't ever know when the PMDD is going to consume me. And there are instances where I don't get my period for 2 months, and somehow the debilitating feelings just don't leave me alone. And I would be left in this utter state of confusion about what was happening in my body. So I worked with Miss Pratma, who's the school counselor, if you guys didn't know, and I learned how to take back control, and I did, and I'm so much better now. And before I get into the things that helped me get better, I just want to say that I'm still figuring things out. I don't know my PMDD as well as I wish I did, but especially now that I'm out of school, I'm learning how to navigate through these new circumstances. So I don't have all the answers, and also that yes, this is about PMDD, but the method I used to cope with it was stress management and not antidepressants or vitamin pills and whatever. So the things that help me can help you too. So the first thing that helped me was having a support system. The obvious one is being communicative with the teachers, which I have to admit I could have done a lot better of, but the point is that when they know what you're going through, they can actually help you out. In fact, the person who told me about PMDD and that it was something that I could potentially be going through was actually a teacher. And also that instead of working, the long time it took me to get back home, I used to use that time to talk with my friends, and that relief was very temporary, but it was really refreshing. And the other thing that I did was I formed a Skype study group with my friends, and we were very honest from the start about what our strengths and weaknesses were, and what we did was we made this rule to always keep ourselves in mute unless it was absolutely necessary. So even at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., they would always be there, and I never felt alone. And it was really motivating to have someone working so hard, and you could see them working so hard. The other thing that helped me was organizing or reorganizing parts of the house. So most of the times it would be my study desk or bookshelf, but it would also range from like the kitchen, like the fridge, the kitchen cabinet, and the toilet cabinet, or anything, but as long as it's small, it's really helpful. And if it gets too big, then just abort it because you're going to get more stressed out. So the next thing is lists, lots and lots of lists. When I get anxious, I feel like I can't see very well, I can't think very well, so by remaking lists, it helps me sort my thoughts out. So it would be a list of things I need to do, list of how I can do the things I need to do, and remaking these lists small and long and all kinds of lists. So another thing that helped me was face masks, and this is like killing two birds with one stone, because last winter my skin got really good, and yeah, so on the occasions that my anxiety got too unmanageable and I couldn't breathe, I would just put on a face mask. It would take like 15 to 20 minutes. So I would just, if I wasn't depersonalized, I would meditate, and that too would take like 17 minutes. So like thakkai tei range ma. And also other times when I was depersonalized, meditation didn't help. So I would just look at animal memes, cute animal videos, motivational animal quotes, anything cute, positive animals. And another thing that's related to this is this massage thing called facial cleansing, and it is so therapeutic. The products that they use have a really distinct smell, and this relaxed vibe just like consumes your body. And I recommend taking long, deep breaths for the best effect, and I think this is the best activity for people who have depersonalization. And moving on to the things that didn't help me but can help you is reading books, listening to music, listening to podcasts, habit tracking, mood tracking, and journals. Reading and listening to audio didn't help me because, like I said before, I couldn't concentrate very well, so it made me feel really horrible about myself. And the daily journal and the mood tracking, habit tracking, it was really hard to be consistent with it, so I just didn't. But if you can, please do give it a try, because a lot of people have said that it works. And so once I was done with IBDO, I joined a Zumba class, I started eating healthy, I caught up on all the sleep that I'd missed, and I could really see a difference because I didn't get PMDD or depersonalization for like 2 months, and it was so amazing because even when I was anxious and when I was stressed out, it was very manageable, and I completely understand that as IB students, you don't really have time to do all of these, but if you can fit them into your schedule, please do, because they can make such a huge difference. So getting to know yourself and getting to know what works for you and what doesn't, it takes a really long time and it's really difficult, but it's really worth it. It took me an entire year to figure things out, so have patience. There are people who will always listen to you, so please communicate. And if you need someone to talk to about this thing, everyone's there for you. I'm here if you want to talk. So yeah, thank you.